Hello, Michelle. How's it going today?
Good, Lindsay. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Michelle, do you talk about the weather a lot with friends, family, or acquaintances, or even just random people when you interact with them?
I do, and it's funny because we've kind of, you and I have talked about the weather, and we've done episodes on it, and it always ends up being okay. Yeah, we know everybody talks about the weather all the time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But it's true, and I mean, it's just a part of life. It's a way to connect. It's very easy. I mean, even when I pick my daughter up from school, there's a security guard at the front. We're always,
Right.
lucky it's hot today, or feeling, sometimes like if you don't have something to say, especially you're not sure, you want to communicate with somebody past a hello.
Yes, it's true. I love that example of the security guard because that's
Yeah.
perfect. You want to bridge that gap, and this show
Yeah.
is all about connection. But I mean, you're not going to go to deep, interesting topics immediately with the security guard. You have to go to something that you both share in that current moment,
Right.
right?
Right, it's true. So it's just it's kind of like old faithful, right? You always
Right.
can lean back on the weather. I mean, Lindsay, I mean, for example, have you had any very cold days in Denver even though it's summer now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yesterday we almost had hail. It
Oh,
was crazy. And then it got really cold. It got chilly. And so we've
uh-huh.
had weird days. And I thought to myself, what is going on with this
Yeah.
weather?
Yes, it's true. I mean, I know at the end of May, we had a cold snap, right? Where it's all of
Yes.
a sudden cold and it was just in the 50s for a while. And it's the weather in general has been kind of wonky and weird. Wonky, that's a good
Wonky and
key word
weird.
for today.
Maybe that'll be
The
somehow in the
title.
title of today's
Yeah,
episode,
wonky and weird
Wonky and Weird
weather.
Weather.
Like that alliteration. But yeah, so I feel that I don't know. The weather has been weird. We've had a lot of rain, and now I'm looking, and next week it's going to be all in the 90s, and I'm worried because my son is starting camp, and there's like one indoor place.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So would they cancel camp? That would not be good, right?
I don't think they would cancel. I think they figure it out. They have a giant cafeteria and I
Okay.
think they have others. I don't know. I mean, they have pools. So
Okay.
I think there'd be a lot of swimming
Okay.
and yeah, we'll see. But when you see then in the 90s it's like so
Yeah.
but
Yes.
look how much we've connected already, Lindsay, just talking about the weather, right? There's so much. I'm even talking about my son and next week and plans and it's
Right,
great.
and even the way we were just talking about it, Michelle, was a little different from you with the security guard. You with the security guard, you're looking to build a
Right.
quick, easy connection,
Right.
because human beings want to connect. But for you and me, talking about potentially your son at camp next week, that could affect, our scheduling, right? And
Yeah.
that's also, but we want to be able to talk about those nuances. The weather's been so unpredictable. I just don't know
Yeah.
what to expect these days, right?
Oh, man. Yes,
So
definitely. Lindsay, would you rather be too cold or too hot?
Oh my gosh, good question. Probably too hot. Probably too I
Yeah.
I think being too cold really scares me in a way. I think of Mount
Uh-huh.
Everest or something.
Actually, maybe that'll be a good guys, at the end of the episode, maybe that's gonna be our poll for
Yes.
today because I am curious what you guys think about the weather.
I love
So,
that question. Do we have
yeah, guys
yeah,
yeah?
speaking of polls, Michelle, do we have poll results for today that we wanna share?
Sure, we do. So in episode 2417, that was called Are Your Feet Cold? Speaking of cold and hot, how to
Yeah.
talk about nerves in English. And what was the poll, Lindsay?
Okay, the poll was, if you are married, did you get cold feet before your wedding? Very interesting here. Sample
Ah.
of our audience. What were the results, Michelle?
Okay, so the results were 30% of you said yes and 70% said no. Lindsay, does that surprise you? How do you feel? Did you
Actually,
get cold feet?
I did not. I knew I
Yeah.
was in the right place at the right time doing that was my person, right?
Yeah. Oh.
But that feels about right. 70-30. I
Yeah, I
predicted
think
something
so.
like that, or maybe 80-20 or something. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that yeah, I would hope that it is more that you don't get
Right.
cold feet.
For
I mean,
sure.
if you get cold feet, I don't think that it's necessarily a
A
huge
bad sign.
problem. I
Right.
don't
Yeah.
it just could be your personality and
Sure.
jumping into things, and it is a lot.
Oh
So,
my gosh, it's a
um
huge deal getting married, Michelle, right? It's the
yeah.
rest of your entire life. So, even if you got cold feet doesn't mean you're making the wrong decision. It just could mean you second guess your decisions a lot in life, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So, guys, but stay tuned to the end of the episode because we'll give you another poll for Spotify that you can answer, and then we'll read the results on air in another
Yes.
episode.
All
So,
right. So, Michelle, again, let's review what we're getting into today.
okay, so yeah, this is a huge connection topic, especially I think when the weather is either unusual for a certain time of year or just
Mhm.
extreme in some way, or maybe there's a stretch of rain or there's a stretch of heat, there's a heat
Yes.
wave, right? All of these kinds of things. So, we're going to give you some keywords and phrases to talk about this, guys. This is not textbook English. Um,
No, no.
not
Yeah,
at
and
all.
this is also not your typical weather episode. We're gonna cover
Right.
angles on the weather that most podcasts or lessons in English wouldn't cover, right? Most lessons would cover it's sunny, it's cloudy. Those are the basics. We're gonna show you what actually, because the weather is unpredictable, we're gonna talk about the topics people actually discuss when it comes to the weather. Okay.
Yes. All right. So the first one is, I love this word, unseasonably blank, right?
Yes.
So unseasonably, what does that mean, Lindsay?
Yeah, it means it's out of the ordinary for that season. Like
Right.
yesterday, I would say for us, it was unseasonably cold after it rained and almost hailed, right?
Mhm, mhm, yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could say, "Wow, it's unseasonably warm today."
Yeah.
That always happens, where what is it? Fake summer? Is that what they call it on
Yeah.
the
Like,
East Coast?
yeah, like a
Where you
mirage or
think
something.
in May you got this really
Oh, yeah.
maybe early May you got everything starts to get warmer and you think, "Oh my gosh, summer's
Yeah.
here,"
You
and then it
bring
goes
out the
back.
sandals, right? Bring out
Yeah.
your sandals and jorts and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And then you have some kind of a snowstorm or something.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you could say to somebody, "Wow, it's unseasonably cold today,
Yeah.
unseasonably warm," right?
Yeah, and I would say that this term unseasonably is a little more formal. Would you
Yes,
agree with
I
that,
agree.
Michelle? Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
would say that's a little bit, formal. This is less formal, though. This is just has a lot of personality.
Yeah.
Just saying, "What is this weather?"
Oh, I could totally hear you saying that too.
Yeah,
This just feels very you, this phrase, Michelle. What is
that's
this
funny.
weather,
That's
right?
funny.
And this is, maybe good when you're passing someone in the hallway
Right.
or
Yeah.
you're outside somewhere when for
Yeah.
example, when you pick your kid up from
Yeah.
school, you might say,
Yeah.
like we
"What
said, to the
is this
security
weather?"
guard, right? And depending on his or her personality, they may express that differently, but they're going to connect with
Right.
you, right?
Right, and it could what the beauty of something like this, or all of these really, is it can either be a quick passing through, or
Mhm.
it can start an actual discussion. So, like, I could
Yeah.
be going to pick her up, and I'm walking in, and I'm usually late, so I'm I'm just
Oh, are
going
you?
quickly. And no, not that. No, 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 maybe 1 minute. And so
Okay.
I might start to go in and I could just say, "Hey, oh my gosh, what is this weather?" And he might say to me, "I know, it's crazy," right? And then I'm in and then I see him on the way out. Or
Right.
let's say I have some time, I'm waiting with the parents at the door.
Mhm.
I have a 5 minutes and say, like, "What is this weather?" And then it can actually start something more. So it's interesting how it can be a quick whatever, just a hello kind of, or what, but slightly deeper than a hello, or
Exactly.
it can start a whole
Exactly.
conversation.
Right, and that's why it's a great opener for connection because you can take it in the direction that makes sense for the time you have, for the person, the
Yeah,
connection you have with the person, and just whatever's going on in your daily life, right? So, Michelle,
yeah.
let's give our listeners another option, another great
Okay.
option here.
All right.
Yeah.
So this is what happened to the ex, right?
Mhm,
A lot
mhm.
of times you might hear, let's say you had some sunny weather and then all of a sudden it's been raining every day. You might say, what happened to the sun?
Yeah, and there's usually not other things people say. Like generally people don't say what happened to the rain,
True.
although some
Right.
people
Right.
love the rain and they don't want it to go away. That's
Yeah.
not me. But you could say what happened to the rain if you're a big rain fan, but more likely what happened to the, what happened to the sun? What happened to the warmth?
Right.
maybe,
To the
right?
yeah, what happened to the warmth, something like that.
Yeah.
Or like let's say it's a the weatherman or a woman said that it was going to be a snowstorm, right?
Oh,
And
mhm.
you could say somebody and it was, it was what is a dud.
It was a dud, yeah.
Nothing actually happened. And that does happen.
Yeah.
You could say, "Oh, what happened to the snow?" right?
Right, exactly that, and that literally means it never showed up, right? It never
Yeah,
showed up, so
right.
the
So
meaning
that's
is slightly
interesting.
different, right? What happened
True.
to the sun means it was here and we were enjoying it,
And
it
it's
went
gone.
away, versus what happened to the snow means it never happened, it never appeared, but both are appropriate, I think.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Exactly. And then Lindsay, what about this one? What's the
Yeah.
next one?
So if again, unseasonable weather is happening and you might say, isn't it May? Right? Let's say I'm
Right.
having snow. Here in Denver, actually, it's kind of common to have snowstorms in May, and they're so frustrating. No one wants that, right, Michelle? No one does. Yeah.
Right. So you could say, if it's snowing, isn't it May? Or if it's,
Right.
or let's say it's 80 degrees. Of course, we're speaking in Fahrenheit.
Yeah. Right.
If
Right.
if we say if it's 80 degrees and it's February, you could say, isn't it winter? Right. So just something where it's out. It's uncharacteristic for the time.
Yes, I love it. These are so good. All right, Michelle, we're back for a few more. So, again, speaking of something kind of weather that just doesn't belong, another
Mhm.
phrase, this is X for Y. For example, this
Mhm.
is hot for February, right?
Uh-huh,
Love that.
uh-huh. This
Mm-hmm.
is cold for summer, right? Something
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Yes.
So that's one thing you could say.
Yeah. And Michelle, let's give our listeners a quick little bonus. What do people tend to do when it comes to weather? What do they like to do? What do they like to
Yeah.
talk about?
Yeah, well, they like to talk about how the weather makes them feel,
Yeah.
right? So, especially, I think when I wrote this, it was kind of kind of a dreary day, and
Really?
so
Okay.
sometimes, you have this feeling you just get tired, right? So you could say,
Yes.
"This weather makes me so X." So, for
Yes.
example, "This weather makes me so sleepy. I just want to curl up and take a nap," and that's such a common thing people say, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Or this weather makes me so happy, right? Very common. Maybe
Mhm.
you're going out on a Saturday and you're going to the park and it happens to be a gorgeous day. I mean, I don't know very many people that doesn't make happy, right, Michelle?
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, it's the best. So, Lindsay, what is your favorite kind of weather?
Oh, yeah, it's that beautiful, crisp, summer morning. I love the morning weather where there's the Christmas in the air, especially here in Colorado. It's really crisp, but clear blue skies, they call it Colorado blue, where you look at the sky
Mm.
and there's not a single cloud in the sky. It's not like clouds are moving in, there's just not going to be any clouds today. And that's how it is today in
Yeah.
Colorado. I love that about where I live. Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, that's good. So I think we should do a role play. What do you think?
I think we should, Michelle. Let's do
All
it. So
right. We're
here
not going to
we
use all, there's a
Mhm.
lot, but we'll get to a lot of what we taught.
Yeah, we're acquaintances here and we're running into each other in line for coffee. Of course,
All
makes
right.
sense, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
of course. Okay, here we go. Hey, Lindsay, how are you?
Good, good. What is this weather?
I don't know. Isn't it June?
Yeah, this is freezing for June.
Agreed. This weather makes me feel so gloomy.
Luckily, it's supposed to warm up next week.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes, very typical conversation, right?
Yeah, that's another thing is then people like to kind of talk about the forecast. I mean, that's how I found out. I was with some friends yesterday and that's how I hadn't checked the forecast and
Mhm.
my friend said cuz she's going to be working at the camp and
Oh,
she said, "Oh no, have you seen the forecast for next week?" So yeah, also just talking about the forecast. We can do
yes.
that another episode on that as well. That's a
Oh
good
my god,
one.
we could do a whole series, Michelle, on weather. I
Seriously.
love it. Does the weather change a lot in New York, New Jersey area where you live?
Yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, it really does. I think it's just all over the well, I think up until this point, it kind of it can be anything. I mean,
Yeah.
it can be really anything. And now that we're here in the summer, it's all done for. Like it's just going to be hot and then it'll probably rain for a week and then
Yeah.
it'll be hot, right? So but yeah, I'm nervous about how warm it's about to be cuz I'm looking and there's no end in sight.
Oh my, and it gets so humid on the East Coast, right? It's
Yeah,
so humid.
yeah.
The air's so heavy. All right, Michelle, let's go through this role play. So here
Okay.
first, you said, "Hey Lindsay, how are you?" And I said, "Good,
Mhm.
good. What is this weather?" So I opened up the main topic of our connection around the weather, around my surprise about the weather. Okay.
Mhm, mhm,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, "Ugh, I don't know. Isn't it June?" Right? So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that for June, this is
Yeah.
really not appropriate,
Yes,
not
exactly.
expected.
And then I agree with you, right? I am connecting in the same way, following this line of conversation. I say, yeah, this is freezing for June. Okay.
Mhm, and
Hmm.
then I go on to my feelings, and I say, "This weather makes me feel so gloomy."
Again, feelings are so incredibly intermixed with weather, which I find that
Mhm.
really fascinating. Don't you think?
Oh, it's so true. It's hard to be sad on a beautiful day.
It really is. It really is. And when you visit a place that has a lot of gray, like I spent a few days in Michigan.
Uh-huh.
And it was so gray, Michelle. I
Mhm.
thought it was gray on the East Coast. It's not. Michigan, the
Yeah.
Midwest for me is the grayest part of the country, and I just
Uh-huh.
couldn't believe it. I struggled a lot.
It really it has and also, do you ever visit a place and you're just kinda underwhelmed by it, but then you
Sure.
realize it's probably because of the weather, and then
Oh
if you go
yeah.
to that same place on a beautiful day, you might find it so
It's
charming.
incredible how it changes our impression of so many things, of life in general, places.
So
This has been
much.
an incredibly important episode, Michelle, and we are going to have a great Spotify poll.
Yes,
So yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, so the poll is we were talking about this in the beginning. Would you rather be too hot or too cold? I wanna know.
I'm curious about this because our listeners live all over the world in different
Yeah.
places, and I wonder if they will answer the opposite of what they experience in their home countries, right? Or if
Yeah.
they will line up with what they do experience in their home countries. Very interesting. What's the takeaway, Michelle, for today?
Uh, to me, this is such an important skill to have to be able to talk about this because it's a good go-to, right? We've
Hmm.
talked about this word before. It's a good go-to conversation topic. You don't have you're not sure what to say, you can go to the weather. Now, I mean, even if the weather is just kind of what you would expect, you can still say, "Oh, it's beautiful out," right? You can
Yes.
still do that. I don't think there's a bad time to make a quick remark about the weather. I just don't.
Absolutely not. I 100% agree with you. And
Yeah.
it's not boring. It's more like a gateway topic.
Yes.
And today we didn't go into the deeper topics, but that could be another episode another day is how do you transition from the weather into a deeper, more
Mm.
interesting topic. But you do have to get things going,
Yeah,
right? You have to get
right.
things going and this is one way that we do it when the weather is variable, when it's changing a lot. All right? Good.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Good stuff,
Um,
Michelle.
yeah, well, this has been fun. I'm so glad we talked about this today, and I'm wishing everyone, nice weather.
100%. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Have a good day.
Alright, you too. Bye.
Bye.